It's finally time for Desmond's story, which, as he was never intended to return when this season started, is all completely out of the writers' asses by default, and ironically enough will become one of the best things about the show, up there with Jin and Sun's story. As we start, he's released from prison and kicked out of the military. Why? No idea. The exchange also brings up his possession of Our Mutual Friend by Charles Dickens, which Desmond intends to be the last book he ever reads for some reason. It's a book that's somewhat infamous for its abrupt and unsatisfying ending, which of course makes its appearance here completely hilarious. He's picked up by Charles Widmore, who's the father of Desmond's former girlfriend Penny, and he hates Desmond so much that he's stopped any of his letters from reaching her, and also gives him a bunch of money if he won't contact her again. And this kind of thing will be a major problem every other time this character shows up. He's such a caricature of a smug British 80s action movie villain that it's impossible to take him seriously.
And what makes you think I would just run away?
Because you're a coward.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to kick some puppies and snatch some food away from orphans. Aha, aha, aha! Oh, it's time for tea. We next catch up with Desmond as he meets a brown-haired Libby, though not at the mental institution, because why would anyone want to know about that? He tells her his life story and how he's entering a boat race that Widmore is throwing to prove he's good enough for Penny, except he doesn't have a boat, so Libby reveals her husband who just died has one, and he should take it. Okay. Yeah, this scene still comes off a little weird, but the rest of this flashback is so good it doesn't really matter. Next is Desmond preparing for the stadium run from Man of Science, Man of Faith when Penny arrives, having spent a lot of money to track him down. And even by this point, I was already far more invested in their relationship than I ever was with Kate and the Bad Choices Triumvirate. Though Desmond nearly ruins the mood when Penny asks why he didn't write to her, and for some reason he doesn't say anything. For a moment there I'd forgotten what show I was watching, so thanks for that. Desmond is caught in a storm during the race and wakes up in the Swan, where he meets none other than Inman from Saeed's flashback in one of them. Yes, Inman is actually Kelvin Inman, the guy Desmond was talking about way back when. And of course this character connection is completely pointless. Neither Saeed nor Desmond ever even find out about it. As Desmond watches the film, Kelvin tells him the missing parts are due to his partner Radzinski, though there's still no word on why he would put one of them in the Arrow. Kelvin also shares that he has to wear a hazmat suit outside. This is the last of the flashbacks in the first hour, and I'll continue them in the next video. As everyone goes nuts about the sailboat, Saeed is the only one to note that this could be the others, given that they already showed up once on a boat and all. Why is he not the main character? Oh, and Charlie notes the possibility, but only long after Jack is already swimming for the boat and Saeed and Sawyer go along to make sure he doesn't get his dumb ass killed. It turns out Desmond is on the boat, so like I said last time, the real hero of the story is finally back. Desmond says he was on a course to Fiji, but after 2 weeks he found himself right back at the island, leading him to think the rest of the world is gone. And Saeed, being his usual badass self, has already figured out that he can use Desmond's boat to get to the others' camp before Jack and the others get there, scout it out, and then meet up with Jack before they go in. Jack says he's still not sure Michael's even under coercion, and it honestly comes off like he realizes he's been completely usurped as the show's resident hero, and kicking and screaming the whole way to his new role as the skeptic asshole. Back at the Swan, Locke tells Echo not to push the key.
But I am going to push the button. Why wouldn't I?
Because you don't want to be a slave.
Ah, a very sensitive thing for a white American to say to a guy from Africa. And then he actually tries to destroy the computer because, damn it, if he can't have fun with his little destiny anymore, no one else can either. Are you 5 years old, John? Just look at his eyes in this scene. It's pure, that's my cookie and no one else can have it. At least Echo quite handily kicks his ass and kicks him out. The A-Team arms up and heads out, and we actually get a Reservoir Dogs-style head-on shot of them walking off to war. Guys, you are not Reservoir Dogs. Desmond lets Saeed take the boat because, hey, it won't help him get drunk. Though he still needs someone who can sail it, so he goes to Jin, and Sun also invites herself along because they can't be separated again. Another nice step in their own story. There's a bizarre little moment where Kate stops Sawyer from picking up another doll that will set off one of Danielle's traps, which clearly only exists so Kate will look less stupid for picking one up herself, because that's just the natural thing to do. Except it's still not, so this only makes Sawyer look more stupid. And we're not done yet because they're attacked by a bird that calls Hurley's name. Yes, really. Hurley even points it out himself, and the DVD subtitles say it too, so clearly this was completely deliberate. And yet this is the last we will ever hear of it, making this moment even more random than usual for this show. At least the scene gives us some forward progress as Michael tries to shoot the bird and discovers his gun is empty, so now he suspects Jack is onto him. Charlie comes across Locke crying because Echo was a big meanie pants and didn't let him doom them all. What follows is a rare moment of pure likability for Charlie as he clearly relishes knowing something that Locke doesn't and revealing it in the most condescending way possible. Lord knows I'd be doing the same thing by now. Desmond gets to know Claire, which includes telling her the vaccine is a waste of time, and it really comes off like the writers apologizing now that they can't think of anything to do with that little plot device. Then Locke meets up with him and tells him all about the pearl. You might think there's a good way to spin this and Locke just wanted Desmond to know the truth so he could have some chance to get answers for it. But no, it's then made clear that he only did this so Desmond would help him stop Echo. Dick move, John. Saeed spots a statue on a beach that's apparently just been hiding behind the black this whole time, and has this to say.
I don't know what is more disquieting. The fact that the rest of the statue is missing, or that it has 4 toes.
Now, this scene actually has a bit of history behind it. The original script said that the foot had 6 toes, but the ABC execs panicked about it because apparently this was where all the viewers would draw the line on the amount of weirdness the show had. Yeah, I don't get it either, but it gets better. According to Lindelof and Cuse themselves, they resubmitted the script changing it to 4 toes because the only thing that really mattered was that it not have 5. And the ABC people accepted this. Yes, apparently 4 toes is less weird than 6, who knew? But here's the best part of all. After making such a big deal about how the statue should have some unusual number of toes, and even putting in a line of dialogue so we couldn't possibly miss it, what then was done with this little plot point? Nothing. Even when the statue becomes important again in Season 5, the number of toes it has is never once mentioned again. This kind of thing is really the core of why I rail against this series so much. To put it bluntly, it doesn't take any talent to write a story like this. Sure, there are a few minor subplots that work well, but the central story of this show is simply a bunch of weird stuff pulled out of the writers' asses, and anyone can do that. As an aspiring writer myself who would like to think he puts real effort into his work, it's so frustrating for me to see writing like this applauded as much as it has been, as well as the creators still insisting everything makes sense if you're just smart enough. Well, as the over 40 unanswered questions less than halfway through the show's run can attest, it doesn't. Locke lures Echo out of the computer room while Desmond hotwires it to trigger the lockdown. And then Locke steals Echo's stick, just in case we were in doubt about how extraordinarily petty he's being. Echo climbs up through the hatch entry for the first time and freaks out a bit when he sees the quarantine sign. At this point, this almost seems like a joke about how bad these people are at sharing information.
Daddy, do you know how they got the hatch door?
No, but if you hum it, I can probably play it.
Shut up, Charlie. Echo then recruits him to help blow open the blast doors. Kate spots 2 of the others following the A-Team and kills one of them. The other one gets away, and to stop them wasting time, Jack is forced to reveal everything. It's a really great scene, with everyone acting exactly like real human beings would in this situation, and even Jack's usually funny, angry faces seem perfectly justified. Sadly, that kind of thing is only going to get rarer from here. Jin and Saeed see the rock with the hole in it ending the first hour. The grade for the whole episode will be in Part 2.